Imagine carrying a heavy rock everywhere you go. You clutch it while eating, while sleeping, even while trying to smile. That rock is your worry, the constant what if that never lets your soul rest. You've been trying to control everything, to force life to move according to your plans. But peace doesn't come through control, it comes through surrender. The more you try to hold on, the more life slips through your fingers. But when you let go, truly let go, you don't lose control, you gain freedom. Because letting go is not weakness, it's the courage to trust life as it unfolds. The moment you stop fighting what is, you begin to feel the soft rhythm of peace that has always been within you. Remember the words of the Buddha, you only lose what you cling to. Today, let's explore Buddhist lessons that will teach you how to stop overthinking, let go, and finally feel the deep peace your heart has been craving. 1. The river of life flows, you don't need to paddle so hard. Life, in its purest form, is like a great river, always moving, always changing, and always finding its way forward. Yet most people spend their lives trying to swim upstream, fighting the natural flow, because they think peace lies in control. You plan every detail, chase every outcome, and hold tightly to how you believe things should go. But the more you resist the current, the more you feel tired, lost, and confused. The truth is, the river doesn't need your effort to flow. It already knows the way. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is resistance, the refusal to accept life as it is. When something doesn't go your way, you tighten your grip, thinking that if you just try harder, you can make life bend to your will. But this endless struggle only brings exhaustion. You cannot command the river to slow down or change its direction. The moment you realize that the current was never your enemy, that it was only your attachment to control, you begin to find peace. Letting go doesn't mean becoming passive or careless. It means you stop fighting what you cannot change and start focusing on how you move within it. Just as a skilled swimmer learns to move with the flow of water, you too can learn to move with the rhythm of life. When something leaves, it's not punishment, it's movement. When something arrives unexpectedly, it's not chaos, it's redirection. The current is always taking you somewhere, even when you can't see where it leads. Think about the times in your life when you forced something to happen, maybe a relationship, a job, or a dream, and no matter how much you tried, it just wouldn't work. That's the universe showing you resistance. The harder you paddled, the farther peace drifted away. And yet when you finally gave up, when you finally said, I surrender, things began to fall into place naturally. That is not coincidence, that's alignment. When you let go of control, you discover that life supports you more than you ever imagined. The river doesn't need you to direct it, it only asks you to trust it. The moment you stop trying to dictate where it should take you, you start seeing the beauty of where you already are. You begin to notice the calm in the water, the reflection of the sky, the sound of flow that was always there but lost beneath your panic. Peace doesn't come from paddling harder, it comes from resting your arms, taking a breath, and realizing that the river itself will carry you. The current of life is not random, it's guided by wisdom greater than your plans. Every delay, every detour, every fall is part of your unfolding. The Buddha taught that the path to peace begins when we stop clinging to outcomes, to control, to fear. So, the next time life feels heavy and uncertain, pause. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, where is this trying to take me? You may not see the destination now, but the river does, and when you trust its flow, even the rough waters will start to make sense. You'll stop drowning in resistance and start floating in faith. When you stop fighting the current, life becomes lighter. It's no longer about surviving. It becomes about moving gracefully through change. You realize that you don't have to control every wave to find peace. You simply have to let go and allow yourself to be carried by the quiet wisdom of the flow. Because the river of life always knows where to go. All you need is to trust it. 2. Overthinking is a form of attachment. Your mind is like a restless ocean, constantly moving, constantly creating waves of thoughts. Every worry, every what if, every memory you replay is another ripple disturbing your inner stillness. Overthinking doesn't come from intelligence, it comes from attachment, the desperate need to control what you cannot. You cling to every detail, every conversation, every possibility, believing that if you just think long enough, you'll find safety. But the more you think, the more you sink. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. When you attach yourself to thoughts, you start believing they define you. You attach to outcomes, to people, to fears, and your mind becomes a prison built by your own imagination. Overthinking is not awareness. It's obsession disguised as control. It's your mind trying to replay the past and predict the future because it fears the present moment, the only place peace actually exists. Imagine holding a rope tightly in your hands. The more you pull, the deeper it cuts into your skin. That's what overthinking does. Every "why did that happen?" and "what if it happens again?" tightens the rope around your heart. You're not living anymore. You're analyzing life instead of experiencing it. And ironically, the more you try to solve the storm in your head, the stronger it grows. Letting go of overthinking doesn't mean you stop caring or stop planning. It means you stop confusing thinking with control. You learn to watch your thoughts without chasing them. Just like clouds passing across the open sky, they come, they go, and they don't change the sky itself. You are that sky, vast, calm, and untouched. Your thoughts are simply passing weather. The Buddha taught mindfulness as the medicine for overthinking, to sit in silence and become aware of your thoughts without judgment, to see them arise and dissolve without attaching meaning to every one of them. When you do this, something miraculous happens. The storm inside begins to quiet. You start noticing the space between thoughts, a stillness that was always there but hidden under the noise. That space is your peace. Think about how much energy you waste worrying about things that never actually happen. The mind exaggerates, creates stories, and builds entire worlds out of fear. You imagine rejection before it even comes. You rehearse pain before it ever arrives. You live inside a movie created by your own fears, and then wonder why you feel tired. The mind wants control, but control is an illusion. No matter how much you analyze, life will unfold the way it must. Instead of trying to think your way into peace, breathe your way into it. Each deep breath reminds your mind that it doesn't have to solve everything, it just has to be present. When a thought comes, smile at it and let it pass like a leaf floating on water. You don't have to grab it, chase it, or drown with it, just watch it drift away. The truth is, peace begins not when your mind stops thinking, but when you stop believing every thought it creates. When you stop identifying with every what if, you realize that thoughts are not facts. They're temporary visitors, and you are the silent observer, the witness that remains untouched no matter how loud the mind becomes. Overthinking fades when trust grows. Trust in yourself, trust in life, trust that you don't need to figure everything out to be okay, because peace doesn't arrive when everything makes sense. It arrives when you finally accept that not everything needs to, and that's the real freedom, the kind that no amount of thinking can ever give you. 3. Acceptance is the first door to freedom. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what happened. It doesn't mean you agree with it or feel okay about it. It simply means you stop fighting it. The Buddha taught that most of our suffering comes not from the event itself, but from our resistance to it. Something goes wrong, and the mind instantly shouts, "This shouldn't be happening." That one thought creates a storm inside you. You wrestle with reality, wishing things were different, replaying moments, arguing with life itself. But life doesn't argue back. It simply continues on, calm, steady, indifferent to your resistance. When you learn to accept life as it is, you stop adding unnecessary pain to your experience. Imagine standing in the rain. You can scream, complain, and curse the sky, but the rain will still fall. Or you can accept it, open your hands, and feel the cool water against your skin. Acceptance doesn't stop the rain, but it transforms your relationship with it. The storm no longer feels like punishment. It becomes something you can move through peacefully. Buddhism calls this equanimity, the ability to remain balanced through both joy and suffering. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity, it means clarity. It's not saying, "I give up," but rather, "I see things as they are." And when you see things as they are, without judgment or resistance, you begin to act from wisdom instead of emotion. You make choices not from fear or denial, but from understanding. Think of all the times you resisted what life gave you: a breakup you didn't want, a job that didn't work out, a dream that failed. You thought life was falling apart, but later you realized it was actually falling into place. The pain that once felt unbearable became your greatest teacher. The rejection that broke you redirected you. But you could only see this truth once you stopped clinging to how things should have been and accepted how they actually are. Acceptance is powerful because it ends the war inside you. As long as you fight reality, you lose, because reality always wins. But when you accept it, something incredible happens. The tension in your chest loosens, your breath deepens, and peace quietly enters. The Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." Acceptance is that doorway inward, the moment you stop chasing and start being. Many people believe that acceptance is weakness. They think it means giving up control or surrendering to fate. But the truth is, acceptance is strength. It takes courage to face what is, to stop running, to stop pretending, and to simply sit with your truth. It's easier to fight than to feel. It's easier to complain than to understand. But when you accept, you transform pain into wisdom and loss into growth. In life, you can't control what comes your way, only how you meet it. Acceptance allows you to meet each moment with an open heart. It's like saying to life, "I trust your timing. I may not understand it yet, but I know there's meaning behind it." And slowly you begin to see that even the hardest experiences have their own quiet beauty. The more you practice acceptance, the lighter you become. You stop carrying the weight of why me and what if. You stop trying to change the past or predict the future. Instead, you start living in the sacred simplicity of now, where peace naturally exists. You understand that the rain falls, the sun rises, people come and go, and life keeps flowing. Your job isn't to stop the movement, it's to move with grace within it. Acceptance is not the end of growth. It's the beginning of transformation. The moment you accept what is, you free yourself to create what can be. You no longer waste energy fighting yesterday, you use it to build tomorrow. That's why acceptance is the first door to freedom. Once you walk through it, you realize the cage was never around you, it was inside your mind. And the key to unlock it was always this simple truth: peace begins where resistance ends. 4. Control is an illusion. From the moment you wake up, your mind begins its silent mission to control. You plan your day, anticipate conversations, worry about outcomes, and try to make life unfold exactly how you imagine. You convince yourself that control is security, that if you can just manage every detail, nothing bad will happen. But Buddhism teaches something very different. The idea of control is not real. It's a comforting illusion the mind creates to protect itself from uncertainty. And the more you try to cling to it, the more anxious, fearful, and frustrated you become. Think about how much of your stress comes from trying to control things you never truly could. You can't control what others think of you. You can't control how life unfolds, who stays or who leaves. You can't even control the weather or the timing of a single breath beyond this moment. Yet, we build our entire identity on the illusion that we can. We schedule, predict, calculate, and fight against the unpredictable nature of existence. And when things go wrong, we suffer twice, first because of what happened, and second because it didn't happen the way we wanted. The Buddha often compared life to holding water in your hands. Try to grip it tightly, and it slips through your fingers. But if you cup your hands gently, the water stays. Control works the same way. When you cling too hard to outcomes, you lose your ability to flow with life. But when you loosen your grip, you realize that peace was never about controlling the current. It was about learning to float within it. The need for control comes from fear, the fear of uncertainty, the fear of failure, the fear of loss. The mind seeks safety in prediction. It believes that if it can control everything, nothing will hurt. But life doesn't obey fear. It moves on its own terms, wild, unpredictable, and beautifully chaotic. The more you fight to keep everything in order, the further you drift from peace. True peace arises only when you surrender to the truth that you were never in control to begin with. Ask yourself honestly, how many sleepless nights have you spent replaying what you said, what they said, or what could go wrong tomorrow? How many moments of joy have you missed because your mind was too busy controlling what hasn't even happened yet? You may think control brings order, but it actually breeds chaos because it ties your peace to external conditions that are constantly changing. When you release control, something remarkable happens. Life doesn't fall apart. It begins to align. You stop forcing, and things start flowing. You begin to trust that there is a wisdom beyond your plans, a timing beyond your understanding. The Buddhists call this trusting the Dharma, allowing the natural law of the universe to unfold without interference. The sun rises without your permission. The seasons change without your command. The same intelligence that guides the stars also guides your life, if only you'd stop trying to manage every step. Letting go of control doesn't mean you stop caring or become careless. It means you do your best, then release the rest. You take action, but you detach from the result. You understand that your effort is yours, but the outcome belongs to the universe. Just like a farmer plants seeds but cannot control the rain, you do your part and allow nature to handle the rest. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. Control also destroys relationships. When you try to control others, their choices, emotions, or pace, you suffocate them. You turn love into possession, kindness into manipulation, and connection into dependency. True love flows when there's freedom, not control. You can't make people stay, but you can love them without conditions while they're here. And if they leave, you can let them go with peace instead of bitterness. When you stop needing to control, you rediscover trust. Trust in life, trust in timing, trust in yourself. You start to see that even the things that didn't go as planned were actually guiding you to something greater. Sometimes what feels like a setback is just life steering you toward the right direction. What looks like loss often hides protection, but you'll never see that if you're too busy fighting the way things are. Buddhism invites us to find calm in uncertainty, to see not knowing as freedom, not fear. Because when you no longer need to control everything, you start to experience life as it truly is, alive, spontaneous, and full of possibilities. You laugh more easily. You adapt faster. You move with grace instead of tension. You realize that control was never peace. It was only the illusion of it. The truth is, peace comes when you replace control with trust. When you understand that life doesn't need your constant supervision, it only needs your awareness. When you stop grasping for guarantees, life begins to feel lighter. You stop resisting change and start embracing it. You stop demanding certainty and start appreciating the mystery. So, the next time things don't go as you planned, instead of saying, "This shouldn't be happening," try whispering, "Maybe this is how it's meant to be." Feel the shift. That's the weight of control leaving your shoulders. That's freedom entering your heart. Because once you understand that control is an illusion, you stop fighting the world and start flowing with it. 5. Detachment doesn't mean you stop loving. There's a deep misunderstanding in the modern world about what detachment truly means. Many people hear the word detachment and think it means becoming cold, distant, or emotionless, as if spiritual peace means withdrawing from love, pleasure, or connection. But in Buddhism, detachment isn't about removing love. It's about refining it. It's about transforming love from something that binds you into something that frees you. It's the difference between holding a flower gently in your palm and clutching it so tightly that you crush it. When the Buddha spoke about detachment or vairagya, he wasn't teaching people to stop caring. He was showing them how to care without suffering. Attachment, not love, is what hurts us. We attach to people, outcomes, moments, and even emotions, thinking they define our happiness. You say, "I can't live without this person," or "I'll be happy only when this happens." That's not love, that's dependency. It's love tied in chains, always afraid of loss, always terrified of change. And because everything in life is impermanent, every relationship, every experience, every feeling, the tighter you cling, the more pain you invite when life inevitably shifts. Real detachment is a quiet strength. It's the ability to hold someone close, to love them deeply, and yet not lose yourself in them. It's knowing that everything and everyone you meet is temporary, not to make you sad, but to remind you to love fully now. When you understand impermanence, your love becomes purer, gentler, and more sincere, because you're no longer loving out of fear, you're loving out of appreciation. Think about how you often hold on to people long after they've served their purpose in your story. Friendships that drain you, relationships that no longer grow, memories that bring more pain than peace. You tell yourself that holding on shows loyalty, but it's often just fear in disguise. Fear of being alone, fear of losing identity, fear of facing yourself. But life keeps whispering, "Let go," because love is not meant to imprison, it's meant to awaken. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling, it means your feelings stop controlling you. You can love someone deeply and still accept when their path diverges from yours. You can give your heart without demanding it back. You can enjoy beautiful moments without clinging to them. Because when you live with detachment, you see clearly that nothing truly belongs to you. Not people, not possessions, not even your emotions. Everything is borrowed, flowing through your life like a river, and your job is to appreciate its presence, not to hold the water still. Buddhism teaches that clinging leads to suffering because it's rooted in the illusion of permanence. You try to freeze life, to keep things the same, but life is movement itself. The flower will wither, the sun will set, people will change, and you will too. When you resist that natural flow, you suffer. But when you learn to let things come and go with grace, you begin to understand true love, love that is vast, calm, and free from possession. There's a story of a monk who loved tending to his garden. One day a student found him sweeping fallen petals from a stone path and asked, "Master, why clean it? More will fall tomorrow." The monk smiled and said, Because I don't sweep to make it perfect. I sweep to honor its imperfection. That is detachment, not trying to preserve a moment forever, but meeting it with full presence while it's here. In relationships, detachment means you no longer expect others to fill your emptiness. You stop making your happiness someone else's responsibility. You learn to love people for who they are, not for what they give you. You can share joy, care, and kindness without turning it into a transaction of needs. That's when love becomes real, not a trade, but a gift. When you are attached, you say, "I love you because I need you." When you are detached, you say, "I love you even if I lose you." This is not heartlessness, it's maturity. It's the kind of love that liberates rather than suffocates. You stop saying, "Stay with me forever," and instead say, "May you be happy, even if it's not with me." That is the highest form of compassion, love without conditions, peace without possession. Practicing detachment doesn't mean you withdraw from life. It means you participate with wisdom. You can enjoy food, relationships, success, and beauty without being enslaved by them. When you eat, you savor the taste without clinging to it. When you love, you embrace it without demanding permanence. When you achieve, you celebrate without becoming addicted to the outcome. This is balance. This is freedom. The world teaches us to cling to people, to power, to wealth, to identity. But the soul yearns for freedom. The moment you stop clinging, a quiet joy enters your heart. You stop needing to hold everything together and instead learn to dance with the changes. You realize that letting go doesn't end love, it deepens it. Because love, in its purest form, is not about owning someone or something, it's about allowing it to exist as it is. When the Buddha said attachment is the root of suffering, he wasn't telling us not to love, he was teaching us how to love correctly. Detachment is not emptiness, it's fullness without fear, it's love without dependency, joy without craving, peace without control. It's seeing beauty and saying, "This too shall pass," and smiling anyway. So as you walk through life, love deeply but hold lightly. Let every person, every moment, every experience pass through your open hands like sunlight through trees. Because when you finally stop clinging to love, you don't lose it, you expand it. You stop being a prisoner of fear and become a vessel of peace. And that's when you understand the truth. Detachment doesn't end love, it perfects it. 6. Stillness is the cure for the busy mind. In a world that never stops moving, stillness has become one of the rarest treasures. We wake up to alarms, scroll through endless screens, chase deadlines, and fill every quiet moment with noise. Silence feels awkward, rest feels unproductive. We've been taught that our worth is measured by how much we do, how fast we move, how many boxes we tick. But the Buddha taught something profoundly different, that wisdom, peace, and clarity arise not from movement, but from stillness. A mind that never stops running cannot see clearly. Just as muddy water only becomes clear when left undisturbed, your mind too needs stillness to return to its natural clarity. Stillness is not the absence of action, it's the presence of awareness. It's not about escaping life, but experiencing it more deeply. The modern world celebrates motion because it distracts us from our inner noise. But when you sit in stillness, when you pause the endless stream of doing, you meet yourself, raw, unfiltered, and honest. And that's where true healing begins. Overthinking, anxiety, stress, they all thrive in constant motion. The more you run, the louder they chase you. You may keep yourself busy to avoid feeling lost, but busyness is only a disguise for restlessness. Deep down, you're trying to outrun your own thoughts. But you can't outrun your mind, you can only quiet it. Stillness is the medicine the soul has always known it needs, but the world keeps teaching us to ignore. Think of a candle flame. When the air is calm, the flame burns steady and bright. But when the wind blows wildly, it flickers, struggles, and sometimes extinguishes. Your inner flame, your peace, your focus, your joy, behaves the same way. The winds of distraction, comparison, and worry keep blowing against it. Every notification, every demand, every expectation pulls your mind away from the present, and in this constant storm, you forget who you are. But when you slow down, when you breathe deeply, close your eyes, and let silence return, the flame steadies again. You see more clearly, think more kindly, and live more wisely. The Buddha reached enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, not by running, not by doing, but by sitting. Stillness is where insight is born. In that quiet, he saw the nature of reality, that everything arises and passes, that clinging brings suffering, and that peace is already within. Meditation at its core is the art of returning from noise to silence, from confusion to clarity, from fear to awareness. But stillness doesn't have to mean sitting cross-legged in deep meditation. It can be found in ordinary moments, in the breath you take before speaking, in the space between two thoughts, in the pause before reacting. Every time you choose to pause instead of panic, you are practicing stillness. Every time you choose to breathe instead of blame, you are healing. Stillness is the gentle teacher that reminds you of what truly matters. It teaches you patience in a world obsessed with instant gratification. It teaches you depth in a culture that values surface appearances. It teaches you presence in moments where your mind tries to wander into the past or the future. In stillness, you realize that most of your suffering isn't coming from what's happening. It's coming from your constant commentary about what's happening. When you quiet the noise, peace naturally appears, because peace was never gone. It was simply drowned under the sound of your own thinking. We often believe that progress means movement, more doing, more planning, more achieving. But spiritual progress works differently. It's not about adding, it's about subtracting. It's about removing the unnecessary so the essential can be seen. When you become still, you begin to see life as it is, not as your fears or desires paint it. The past loses its grip, the future loses its pull, and the present finally becomes enough. There's a quiet strength that comes from stillness. When you are still, you're no longer reactive. You stop letting every emotion drag you in different directions. You begin to respond instead of react. You start noticing that not every thought deserves attention, not every feeling needs expression, not every battle requires your sword. Stillness gives you space. The sacred space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies freedom. Even nature understands the power of stillness. The ocean doesn't lose its depth when the surface is calm. The mountains don't lose their power when they stand in silence. In fact, their stillness is what gives them presence. You too have that presence within you. Beneath the layers of chaos, there is a calm observer, a silent witness that watches everything yet remains untouched. That's who you really are, and the more you connect with that stillness, the more life begins to feel peaceful, effortless, and aligned. So how do you find stillness in a busy world? You start small. Close your eyes for a minute and simply breathe. Feel the air enter and leave your lungs. Listen to the sounds around you without judging them. Let thoughts come and go like waves touching the shore. Slowly, you'll begin to sense something beneath the noise, a quiet awareness, steady and vast. That awareness is your refuge. When you begin living from that still space, life no longer feels like a race. You move with purpose, not pressure. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. You work calmly, love deeply, and rest fully. You no longer confuse busyness with importance or silence with emptiness. You realize that stillness isn't the absence of life, it's the presence of soul. The Buddha once said, "Within this very body and mind is the whole universe." And he was right. The answers you seek, the peace you chase, the clarity you crave, they're not outside you, they're within you, waiting in the stillness you keep avoiding. You don't have to go anywhere to find peace. You only have to stop running from it. So stop chasing noise. Turn inward. Sit with yourself. Listen. At first, you may hear the chaos, the pain, the regrets, but stay a little longer. Beneath that, there's something far more beautiful, a silence so pure it feels like home, because it is home. The mind will always crave motion, but the soul has always wanted stillness. And once you find it, you'll never mistake movement for progress again. Stillness is not escape, it's arrival. It's the place where you finally remember who you are. 7. Freedom begins when you let go of should. There's a quiet war happening inside your mind, a constant struggle between what is and what you think should be. You carry the weight of invisible expectations every day. I should be happier. I should be more successful by now. They should understand me. Life should be easier. These shoulds may sound harmless, but they are the invisible chains that keep your soul restless. Every should is a rejection of reality, a small way of saying what exists right now isn't enough. And the more you fight against reality, the further you drift from peace. The Buddha taught that suffering is born not from what happens, but from our attachment to how we think things ought to happen. The moment you compare your life to a mental image of perfection, discontent begins. You start believing that peace lies somewhere else, in a different job, a better body, a happier relationship, a more spiritual version of yourself. But here's the truth. Peace doesn't come when life meets your expectations. It comes when you release them. The word should is like a small thread that ties your mind to disappointment. It creates constant resistance. You see people as they are and think they should act differently. You face your past and think it should have gone another way. You look at yourself and whisper, I should be better. But every should blinds you to the perfection already within imperfection. It disconnects you from the present moment, the only place peace can ever exist. Letting go of should doesn't mean you stop caring or striving for growth. It means you stop demanding that life obey your script. It's about moving from control to curiosity, from resistance to acceptance. It's understanding that life unfolds with its own rhythm, sometimes gentle, sometimes harsh, but always wise. When you say, "This is how it should be," you're trying to replace life's intelligence with your own limited understanding. But when you say, "This is how it is," you begin to awaken. Think of all the energy you've spent chasing imaginary timelines, trying to reach milestones by a certain age, comparing your path to others, punishing yourself for not being further ahead. You've been carrying an invisible checklist in your mind, and with every unchecked box, you've felt less worthy. But that checklist was never real. It was created by the world, by society, by fear. You weren't born to meet expectations. You were born to experience life as it unfolds. The tree doesn't rush to bloom. The sun doesn't question why clouds block its light. Yet both fulfill their purpose effortlessly, simply by being what they are. When you stop living by should, life starts feeling lighter. You begin to see beauty in what's already here, not in what's missing. You realize that nothing was ever wrong with you. It was only your comparison that made it seem that way. The mind loves to create conditions for happiness. I'll be peaceful when I get that job. I'll be happy when I meet the right person. I'll rest when I succeed. But these conditions are traps. The moment one should is fulfilled, another takes its place. The only real escape is to stop negotiating with life and start embracing it. Buddhism calls this radical acceptance, the practice of fully welcoming life as it is. You begin to understand that every event, even the painful ones, has its place in the grand design. The heartbreak that broke you also softened you. The failure that humiliated you also humbled you. The loss that shattered you also taught you how to love more deeply. When you let go of should, you stop labeling experiences as good or bad. You simply see them as necessary steps in your awakening. The word should is rooted in ego, the part of you that wants to control and perfect everything. It whispers, if life just goes my way, then I'll be at peace. But peace that depends on conditions will always collapse when those conditions change. True freedom begins when you say, even if things don't go my way, I can still be at peace. That's the heart of spiritual maturity, learning to rest in life, not rule it. When you remove should from your vocabulary, something miraculous happens. You begin to feel gratitude again. You start to see how much is already right. You stop waiting for a future moment to feel alive. You stop treating yourself as a project that needs fixing and start treating yourself as a being that needs understanding. You start forgiving others, the past, yourself, because you realize that everyone, including you, is doing the best they can with the awareness they have. Take a moment to reflect how many of your daily frustrations come from should. They should text me back. People should be kinder. I should be more productive. Each one is a small rebellion against what is, and each one steals your peace. Letting go of should is not about giving up. It's about giving in to the wisdom of the present moment, to the flow of existence that has carried you this far without your constant interference. Imagine if you woke up tomorrow and decided to accept everything as it comes, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. You'd move through your day with less tension, conversations would feel lighter, failures would sting less, even silence would feel comforting. Because peace doesn't need perfection, it only needs presence, and presence is what appears when should disappears. In the words of Lao Tzu, when I let go of who I am, I become what I might be. The same applies to life. When you let go of how life should be, it becomes what it's meant to be. You stop forcing and start flowing. You stop controlling and start trusting. You stop surviving and start living. So, the next time your mind says, "It shouldn't be this way," pause and breathe. Whisper softly, "Maybe this is exactly how it's supposed to be." Feel how those words shift something deep inside you, how they dissolve the tightness in your chest and replace it with calm understanding. That's the beginning of real freedom, the kind that doesn't depend on outcomes but on awareness. Freedom is not found in changing the world to match your expectations. It's found in changing the way you meet the world, with openness instead of resistance, with trust instead of control. When you let go of should, you stop arguing with reality and begin dancing with it. You stop chasing life and start living it. You stop demanding peace and start embodying it. That's the art of letting go. That's where peace enters your life, not when everything finally makes sense, but when you finally stop needing it to. 8. The power of surrender. When you stop forcing, life starts flowing. For most of your life, you've been taught that strength means control, that to succeed, you must fight harder, push more, and never let go. You've been told to chase goals, to conquer your emotions, to dominate your circumstances. But deep down, you've felt the exhaustion of this endless battle, the heaviness that comes from forcing everything to happen your way. Buddhism teaches that true strength doesn't come from control, but from surrender. It's not about giving up, it's about giving in, allowing life to unfold with its own intelligence rather than constantly wrestling with it. Surrender doesn't mean passivity, it means alignment. It's the quiet decision to stop arguing with what is. It's the courage to say, "I may not understand it right now, but I trust that there's meaning in this. When you surrender, you're not letting go of your power, you're releasing your resistance to life's natural flow. You stop seeing every change as a threat and begin to see it as a teacher. You realize that peace is not something you create through effort, it's something you uncover through acceptance. We often believe we can force happiness, love, or success into existence, that if we just try harder, things will finally fall into place. But the more we force, the more life resists. It's like trying to hold on to water. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. Life moves in rhythm with surrender. When you push too hard, you move out of harmony with that rhythm, and that's when frustration, confusion, and fatigue begin to rule you. The Buddha described this as non-grasping. He said the path to liberation is like opening your hands. The open hand receives what life brings and lets go when it passes. The closed fist clings, and in that clinging it suffers. You don't realize how much of your pain comes not from what happens, but from your refusal to let it move through you. When you finally allow yourself to stop controlling everything, the mind loosens, the heart softens, and you begin to flow again. Surrender doesn't mean you stop acting, it means you act from stillness instead of fear. You stop reacting to every wave and learn to surf it. You make decisions, not out of panic, but from presence. You begin to trust the process, even the parts that don't make sense. You start to see that life's rejections are often redirections, that what you thought was falling apart was actually falling into place, that the timing you resisted was the timing that saved you. Imagine standing in a river again, like in the first lesson. When you fight the current, every step is struggle. But when you lift your feet and let the river carry you, something miraculous happens. You still move, but without exhaustion. That's what surrender feels like. You still live, still love, still dream, but without the constant inner war. You move with life, not against it. The ego fears surrender because it believes it means losing control. But what the ego doesn't understand is that control was always an illusion. You were never in control of the weather, other people, or even your next heartbeat. The only thing you ever had control over was your response. And surrender is the ultimate response. It's saying yes to what is instead of no to what's already here. Think about how nature lives in constant surrender. The tree doesn't cling to its leaves when autumn comes. It lets them go because it trusts spring will bring new ones. The ocean doesn't resist the tides. It moves effortlessly with the moon. Even your breath, the most essential rhythm of your life, is a practice in surrender. Inhale, receive. Exhale, release. Life is built upon letting go. You were never meant to hold on so tightly. The more you surrender, the more you see that life doesn't need your control, it needs your cooperation. You start realizing that everything that happens, even the pain, is part of your unfolding. The heartbreak that taught you self-respect, the failure that pushed you toward your real purpose, the silence that taught you peace. None of these were accidents. When you stop resisting them, they reveal their gifts. But surrender requires trust. Not blind faith, but quiet confidence in the intelligence of life itself. You begin to understand that life has its own timing, and that rushing doesn't bring peace. It only brings pressure. Some seasons are meant for building, others for waiting. Some doors are meant to open, others to remain closed so you can find a better one. Surrender is trusting that you are always where you need to be, even when it doesn't feel like it. Buddhism often reminds us of the concept of wu-wei, effortless action. It's the art of doing without forcing, of moving without tension. When you practice surrender, you enter this state naturally. You stop wasting energy on what's beyond your control and begin investing it in what truly matters, your inner state. You cultivate presence, gratitude, and clarity. You discover that peace isn't the result of getting everything right, it's the result of no longer needing to. Surrender also heals your relationships. You stop trying to fix or change others and start meeting them where they are. You begin to love without demands, to listen without defending, to forgive without conditions. Because when you surrender, you no longer see people as projects, you see them as mirrors, each one showing you what part of yourself still resists, still clings, still fears, and slowly the walls begin to fall. There's a quiet freedom that comes from surrender. You start to realize that you don't need to chase life. It was always waiting for you to slow down enough to receive it. You begin to notice how peace doesn't require a perfect situation. It only requires a still mind. You stop seeing surrender as weakness and start recognizing it as the highest expression of wisdom, because only a strong heart can let go of control and trust the unknown. So when you find yourself trying too hard, forcing outcomes, clinging to people, worrying about what's next, pause, breathe, ask yourself gently, what if I stop fighting this? What if I just allow it to be? You'll feel an immediate lightness, a quiet exhale inside your soul. That's the beginning of surrender. That's the door opening toward peace. The truth is, you were never meant to control the river, only to learn how to flow with it. You were never meant to predict every turn, only to keep your heart open as it carries you. And once you realize this, life stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a dance. A dance between your will and the universe's wisdom. Surrender isn't about losing yourself, it's about returning to yourself. It's remembering that the universe doesn't move through struggle, it moves through rhythm. When you stop forcing, life starts flowing. When you stop clinging, love starts blooming. When you stop resisting, peace finds you. So let go, not because you've lost, but because you're ready to trust. The moment you surrender, the universe whispers back, finally, now I can move through you. And that's when you realize surrender wasn't defeat. It was the doorway to freedom all along. 9. The present moment is where peace lives. Stop visiting, start living there. So much of human suffering comes from one simple habit, our mind's refusal to stay where life actually happens in the present moment. We live trapped between two illusions, the weight of the past and the fear of the future. We replay old conversations, regrets, and mistakes, as if reliving them could change their outcome. And when we're not stuck there, we're anxiously rehearsing what might happen next, building endless what-if scenarios that rarely ever come true. The result? We miss the only time that's real, now. Buddhism teaches that liberation begins the moment you return to this present moment fully, without dragging yesterday's ghosts or tomorrow's worries into it. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." It sounds simple, yet it's one of the hardest things for the modern mind to do, because your mind is addicted to time. It feeds on what was and what could be. It fears stillness because in stillness it has to face itself. But peace doesn't exist in the mind's stories. It exists in awareness. It exists in the space between thoughts, in the breath you take right now, in the sound of life happening around you at this very moment. The present moment is where your true life unfolds, not the life you imagine, but the one that's actually happening. Every breath, every step, every heartbeat exists only here, and yet, how rarely do you truly feel it? When was the last time you looked at the sky without checking your phone, or ate a meal without distraction, or listened to someone without preparing your reply? Most people are living in fragments, half in memory, half in anticipation, but rarely in experience. Overthinking is just the mind's way of abandoning the present. It tells you, if I think enough, I can fix it, but in reality, every extra thought takes you further away from peace. The more you try to solve the past or predict the future, the more you become entangled in illusion. The only moment where healing happens, where transformation is possible, is this one. When you bring your full awareness into this breath, into this sound, into this heartbeat, you return home. The reason the present moment feels so healing is because it's the only space untouched by fear. The past carries guilt, the future carries anxiety, but the present carries truth. When you stop time traveling through thought and anchor yourself in the now, everything slows down. The noise fades. You stop thinking about peace, and you start feeling it. Buddhist monks call this mindfulness, but it's more than a meditation technique. It's a way of living. Mindfulness means being fully alive to this moment, whatever it brings. It's drinking tea and truly tasting it. It's walking and feeling each step. It's listening to the sound of rain without wishing for sunshine. It's living with open eyes, open senses, open heart. When you live like this, even ordinary moments begin to glow with sacredness. The reason you miss peace is not because it's far away, it's because your attention is. The mind keeps saying, when this happens, then I'll be happy. But peace isn't waiting for you in the future, it's waiting for you to arrive here. You can't experience calm later, you can only experience it now. You can't breathe tomorrow, you can only breathe this breath. And that's the secret. The more often you return to now, the lighter your life becomes. Imagine holding a snow globe and shaking it endlessly. That's your mind when you're lost in thought. The particles never settle, but when you place it down, the snow slowly begins to fall into stillness, and suddenly, everything becomes clear. That's what happens when you stop running from the present. You finally see. The present moment also dissolves pain, because most pain grows not from what happens, but from the mind's commentary about it. Something goes wrong, and immediately your thoughts spiral. This shouldn't have happened. Why me? What if this ruins everything? But when you simply breathe and observe the moment without the story, you see that pain is just sensation. It arises, stays for a while, and fades, like a wave. The suffering only deepens when you cling to it through thought. To live in the present moment doesn't mean ignoring the past or neglecting the future. It means honoring them without becoming trapped by them. You can learn from yesterday without carrying it, and plan for tomorrow without fearing it. It's balance, the kind of quiet balance that gives rise to inner freedom. The Buddha called it the middle path, the way between extremes, neither attachment nor avoidance, just awareness. Try this small reflection. Notice your breath right now. Feel the air moving in and out. Don't analyze it, just feel it. In this moment, notice that you are safe. Nothing from the past can touch you here. Nothing from the future can reach you yet. In this tiny pocket of now, everything is okay. That's peace. That's where it lives, not in a perfect life, but in perfect awareness of the life unfolding in front of you. When you start practicing presence, you'll notice something profound. Joy becomes simple again. You start noticing small miracles, the way light hits the wall in the morning, the sound of leaves rustling, the softness of your own breath. Gratitude grows effortlessly because your mind is finally quiet enough to see what's already good. You realize you've been chasing happiness like a shadow, always ahead, never reachable, when it was waiting for you in this exact second all along. Presence is not a destination, it's a returning. You will drift again and again into thought, into worry, into memory. But every time you notice and return, you strengthen your awareness. Slowly, you begin to live more in life than in your head. You respond instead of react. You listen instead of judge. You breathe instead of control, and gradually, you find yourself living in a world that feels softer, slower, kinder, even though nothing outside has changed. Buddhism teaches that enlightenment is not somewhere far away, It's the full awakening to this moment. It's not about adding anything new, but about seeing what's already here without distortion. Right here in this second, you have everything you need to be at peace: your breath, your awareness, your being. The only thing missing is your attention. So let go of yesterday. It no longer needs your energy. Stop reaching for tomorrow. It will come when it's meant to. Return home to this breath, this heartbeat, this now. Feel how life is happening, right here, without your effort. This moment is not just another step in your journey. It is your journey. Peace has never left you. You've just been walking too far ahead or looking too far behind. But when you stop, breathe, and arrive, you'll see it waiting for you, silent, patient, smiling, whispering the truth you've always known. You were never lost. You were just distracted. The present moment is your true home. Don't just visit it when things get hard. Live there, because when you finally learn to live in now, worry fades, overthinking dissolves, and the deepest kind of freedom, the freedom of being fully alive, enters your life. 10. The art of letting go. The doorway to true freedom. Letting go is one of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn, not because it's complicated, but because it demands that you release what your heart has clung to for too long. You hold on to people, memories, failures, identities, expectations, and stories, as if keeping them close will somehow protect you from the pain of loss. But Buddhism teaches that clinging is the root of all suffering. The more you grip, the more it hurts. The tighter you try to hold on to life, the faster it slips away. True peace begins the moment you realize that nothing in this world truly belongs to you, not even the self you think you are. To let go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop controlling. It's the conscious choice to release the illusions that keep you trapped. The illusion of permanence, the illusion of certainty, the illusion of control. Life is in constant motion. Everything that begins will end. Everything that comes will go, and everything that rises will fall. When you fight this truth, you suffer. But when you accept it, you awaken. The art of letting go is not about erasing the past. It's about making peace with its impermanence. It's about learning to open your hands and trust that what is meant for you will never need to be forced. Think about how often you've resisted change. You cling to familiar patterns, even when they cause pain, because they feel safe. You replay old stories because they give you identity. You hold on to relationships that have already ended in spirit, hoping you can breathe life back into them. You fear the emptiness that follows release, as if letting go means losing yourself. But that emptiness isn't a void. It's space. Space for peace. Space for growth. Space for what's meant to come next. The tree does not resist when autumn takes its leaves. It surrenders knowing spring will return. You too must trust that the seasons of your life are sacred, even when they strip you bare. Letting go is not a one-time act. It's a daily practice. Every day you're invited to release something: a resentment, a fear, a regret, a need for approval, a desire for control. And every time you let go, even just a little, you become lighter. You begin to move through life with grace instead of tension. The Buddha compared attachment to carrying a heavy bag on your back. When you finally set it down, you wonder why you ever carried it so long. But letting go is uncomfortable because it challenges the ego. The ego wants to hold on, to possess, to define, to secure. It says, if I let go, who will I be? What if I lose everything? Yet the truth is, you lose nothing real by letting go, only illusions. You lose the false control that causes anxiety, the false certainty that breeds fear, and the false identity that blocks your growth. What remains after you let go is your true self, unbound, quiet, peaceful, the self that doesn't need to chase or cling because it has found home in awareness. Buddhism often describes letting go as non-attachment, but non-attachment is not indifference. It's love without fear. It's being fully present with life without demanding it to last forever. You can love deeply but still let people go when their chapter in your story ends. You can enjoy success but not define your worth by it. You can experience pain but not drown in it. You can hold everything gently, with open hands instead of clenched fists. When you let go, you begin to see how much beauty exists in impermanence. The sunset is beautiful precisely because it fades. A flower moves you because it will soon wilt. Every moment becomes precious when you stop trying to make it last forever. Impermanence is not the enemy of life, it's what makes life sacred. Imagine how dull the world would be if everything stayed the same, if no leaf ever fell, if no night ever came. Change is not something to fear, it's the very heartbeat of existence. The process of letting go often begins in pain. It starts when you realize that holding on is hurting more than releasing ever could. There's a moment when you finally say, "I've tried enough, I've pushed enough, I've suffered enough." That moment, that surrender, is the beginning of freedom. You realize that peace was never about getting what you wanted, but about making peace with what is. You stop trying to fix the past and start trusting the flow of the present. Letting go is also an act of faith. Faith not in religion, but in the intelligence of life itself. You start to trust that the same force that moves the tides, that guides the stars, that breathes through you, knows what it's doing. You begin to see that every loss cleared the path for a new beginning. Every ending was a form of protection. Every unanswered prayer was an act of grace in disguise. The hands that release what's gone are the same hands that are now free to receive what's meant to come. But how do you actually let go? It begins with awareness. Notice what you're holding on to. Name it, feel it, don't fight it, just witness it. The more you observe your attachments, the less power they hold over you. You can't let go of what you don't see clearly. So sit in silence, breathe, and ask yourself, what am I afraid to lose? You'll find that underneath every attachment is fear, fear of emptiness, fear of change, fear of the unknown. But when you look closer, you'll see that what you're afraid of losing was never truly you. You are not your relationships, your achievements, your failures, or your pain. You are the awareness that experiences them all and remains unchanged. Letting go also means forgiving yourself and others. Forgiveness is not saying, "What happened was okay." It's saying, "I won't let this pain control me anymore." It's releasing the anchor that keeps your heart stuck in yesterday's storm. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it clears the path forward. It's an act of liberation, freeing yourself from a prison only you had the key to. When you master the art of letting go, life begins to feel lighter, not because everything becomes perfect, but because you stop needing it to be. You stop trying to force meaning and start allowing meaning to reveal itself. You no longer chase happiness, you become it. You no longer fear change, you flow with it. You no longer live in tension, you rest in trust. There's a profound line from the Dhammapada: let go of what is before, let go of what is after, let go of what is in between. With a heart freed from all attachments, cross over to the other shore. That other shore isn't somewhere far away. It's peace, here and now. It's the moment your heart stops clinging and starts trusting. So if you're tired of the constant weight, the what-ifs, the regrets, the expectations, take a deep breath and say softly to yourself, "I let go." Say it not as an escape, but as an embrace. Let go of needing life to go your way. Let go of needing people to understand. Let go of needing closure for every ending. Let go of the idea that peace lies somewhere else. Because peace is not found in holding on, It's found in the gentle release. When you finally master the art, at the end of this journey through worry, resistance, attachment, control, and surrender, one truth quietly shines through. Peace was never something you had to chase. It was never lost. It was only buried beneath the noise of your own mind. You've spent so much of your life trying to fix, to force, to make things happen, believing that freedom lies in getting everything right. But the more you tried to hold on, the more life slipped away. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us that peace doesn't arrive when life becomes perfect. It arrives when you finally stop demanding perfection from it. Letting go is not a single act. It's a way of living. It's the daily choice to release what weighs you down and trust the flow that's always been carrying you. When you stop trying to control the current, you begin to move with it, gracefully, effortlessly, peacefully. You start to understand that life is not against you, it's guiding you. Every loss, every delay, every unanswered question is not punishment, but preparation. Every ending is a silent beginning, wearing a disguise. The art of letting go is the art of coming home, to yourself, to the present moment, to the calm that has always lived inside you. You stop being a prisoner of what should be, and start embracing what is. You stop defining peace as something you'll earn one day, and start experiencing it now, in the breath that fills your lungs, in the stillness between thoughts, in the awareness that quietly watches everything unfold. To live freely is to love without clinging, to dream without fear, to act without control, and to trust without knowing. It's to walk through the world with open hands, not empty but free, because when you let go, you don't lose anything real, you only lose your chains. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that every time you surrendered, life carried you somewhere beautiful. The river never needed your effort, only your trust. The world never needed your control, only your presence. And peace never needed to be found, it only needed to be felt. So, worry less, let go more, surrender to the rhythm of your own existence. Breathe deeply and remind yourself, you were never meant to fight the flow. You were meant to float, to trust, and to live fully in this sacred now, because that's where freedom lives. That's where peace begins. And that's where your true self, calm, aware, and infinite, has been waiting for you all along.